Hello and thank you for selecting my video. I've published my video online for you and anybody else that's interested to see what's on the old grounds on which the Volvo truck and bus factory stood on at the west coast Scottish town of Irvine. I would like to share with you my article about it. The Volvo truck and bus factory in the west Scottish town of Irvine built many Volvo buses for the world market. Many different models were built, including my favourite model, which is the Volvo Ilse double-decker bus, designed and built in Scotland. The city of Dundee, where I have always lived, had nearly its entire service bus fleet made up of Volvo Ilses. There were many different variants of Volvo Ilses in Dundee, all of which were built in Scotland. I've been a bus spotter for decades, since 1987, and the Volvo Ilse bus were the buses I grew up with. Grew up with them all my life nearly. Today I drive buses for Dundee, but none of them are Volvo Ilses, as the last Dundee Ilse ran in service in Dundee was back in October 1999. Shortly afterwards, in the year 2000, the Volvo truck and bus factory closed down. The Irvine Volvo truck and bus factory closed down in the year 2000. And I believe most of the production was moved down to Warwick, down in England. The factory now, the old Irvine factory, has been bulldozed. It's been knocked down now. In the next clip, I will show a video that I've made using various footage from various times of various Volvo Ilses at various places, just to show a sample of what Volvo Ilses looked and sounded like. These videos and footage that you're going to wait to see next, I took all of them myself, and I took them at a time before they were going to be put online. They were never taken with the intent on going online. So unfortunately, that's the best that I've got from the earlier footage. If I was going to make any future footage with the Volvo Ilses with the intent on putting it online, I would take a much more detailed video of it. But unfortunately, at that time, the earlier footage was just taken without the intent on going online. That wasn't the original intention. So that's the best I've got. It's to give you a sample of what the Volvo Ilse, different variants, and different models, different generations of Volvo Ilse. I will give you a sound. You'll get to see the exterior, the interior. I took videos of the exterior and the interior, and you will hear them as they're driving to give you a sound of this model of bus, which was built and designed in Scotland, and most of them were built at the Volvo Ilse, the Volvo truck and bus factory in Irvine. I believe beforehand there was a factory in Barrhead. I don't know an awful lot about that, but Barrhead is in the Glasgow area. It's not overly far from the Irvine, where the Irvine factory was. But the Volvo Ilse became, sort of developed from the Volvo F86 truck. I think that was kind of like a foothold as to how the bus became a Scottish bus. The company started selling trucks, Volvo F86 trucks, and they had the Volvo TD70 engine in them. The Volvo TD70 engine came in different grades. You had the Volvo TD70E, which was in the Mark 1s, the Mark 1.5 or Mark 1A. They were basically T-Reg buses, the later Mark 1s. They were also known as Mark 1.5s, Mark 1As. And then you had the Mark 2s that also had the Volvo TD70E engine, and they started to cross over to the Volvo TD70H engine, and that was slightly different on the turbo. It was to do with emissions as well. It's just as time goes on, they upgrade them. Basically the same engine. It was a 7 litre inline 6-cylinder turbocharged, non-intercooled turbocharged diesel. They weren't intercooled, not the Elsys to my knowledge anyway. The Volvo truck and bus factory, that's where most of the buses, the Volvo Elsys, were built. Some of them, because it was a world market, some of them were sent in kit form to Jakarta, Hong Kong, that sort of area, China Motors. But the Dundee buses were all their Volvo Elsys were built in Scotland. Now the Volvo Elsy is the chassis. Now not all, you've got two parts to a bus. You've got the chassis, which is the Volvo Elsy part. That's the underframe. That's the foundation of the bus. That's where your engine, gearbox, front axle, back axle, main frame structure with the bodywork sits on. All the running gear, like your prop shafts, air tanks, fuel tank, all the mechanical running gears is on the chassis. The bodywork is the part that looks familiar to most people. That's the bus, if you like. That's what the bus looks like. You see the bodywork. You don't really see the underframe, the chassis part. That's underneath the bus. But that's the foundation. That's what the Volvo Elsy is. It's the chassis part. And Volvo Truck and Bus in Irvine built the chassis for Volvo buses. They didn't just build Volvo Elsys. They built a lot of buses. They built Volvo B10 M city buses. They built Volvo B6 mini bus, a 6-litre engine, rear mounted. They built lots of different types of Volvo buses, and they built trucks as well. They built trucks as well, articulated, rigid trucks. The F86 was the earlier one. That was a Volvo engine, was Swedish. I think that was Volvo. I think Volvo designed the engine. That was pretty much Volvo designed that, but the rest of it was, or certainly for the bus anyway, the rest of the chassis for the Volvo Elsy bus was built and designed in Scotland. But the bodyworks vary. Now the Dundee buses had, most of the Volvo Elsys that Dundee had were Alexander bodied, and their bodyworks were designed and built in Falkirk by Walter Alexander, which today is Alexander Dennis. They're still based in Falkirk. It's the same factory, but they were bought over all through different various stages. It was Transbus, there was all sorts of things. Transit bus or Transbus or something like that. I went through various stages, but I went from Walter Alexander. But I mean, it was probably, certainly in the era of the Elsy. I don't know the history much before the Elsy. It's the Elsy that in mainly. Because I grew up with them. I lived in Dundee all my life. I grew up with Elsys. I got into buses at a young age. And so I'm kind of like thinking it was Walter Alexander that built the bodywork for most of the Dundee Volvo Elsys. But the later, the Mark III Volvo Elsys that Dundee had, the chassis part was still built in Irvine, the Volvo Truck and Bus in Irvine, but the bodywork differed. The Dundee ones had East Lancs bodywork and Northern Counties bodywork on the Volvo Elsy Mark III chassis. But prior to that, they were all Alexander bodywork, RV type, AV type, which were built in Falkirk. Now, the other bodyworks, different operators, different cities, notably Yorkshire, A1, they had Van Hool Mikado bodied Mark I Volvo Elsys, and they looked very much like the RV type bodywork. It looked really modern. There is a clip of a Van Hool-bodied, Recaro-bodied Mark 1 Volvo Ilsa in the clip you're going to see. It's the blue one. It's got A1 service on it, and it looks really modern, and yet it's a 70s bus. Anyway, so in the next clip you'll see the video that I made up using all this various footage, all of which I taken, to give you a sample of what the Volvo Ilsa. I've only used Volvo Ilsas. I mean, like I say, that Volvo Truck and Bus factory made other models of the Volvo bus, but I'm concentrating on the Volvo Ilsa on this because that's my favourite type. So you'll see that next, okay? In the next part of my video, I will show what the old grounds on which the Volvo Truck and Bus factory once stood on. I've taken these photos and videos during August 2021. Right, so I've made my way to the area where the old Volvo Truck and Bus factory was. It was basically just, I believe it's in that area. It's Maxi Group Limited now that's got it. It's like an industrial estate kind of thing. So there's not really very much to see, unfortunately, but I can't get the car in because it's all sort of closed off at the moment. There's it's barriered up, but it's like a kind of industrial estate sort of I don't know, a bit sort of business park kind of thing. I think the factory is gone, but the site that it was on is where I think it's a Maxi Group or something. I don't know anything about it, but I just really want to be in the area where the buses were once built. No, that looks like a bit of land where the factory may have once stood, perhaps. I'm not sure. It may have been like where the buses, the chassis would have been parked once it came off the production line, maybe. But I remember years ago, I mean talking about 1993, what's that, 28 years ago, I was only 18, but I remember taking buses from Dundee to this area, Kilmarnock and that. It's a bus company called A1 Bus Service, and they ran second-hand buses from Dundee, the Volvo Ilsas from Dundee. They also bought new ones as well, like some new buses, Volvo Elses, but they did buy second-hand Mark 1 Volvo Elses from Dundee, and I came through here to go on them, to go on a bus run, and I remember seeing the factory on one of the routes, and I saw it from the road, from the main road, like on the bus. So, but it just seems a bit, it's a bit overgrown and that. I don't really know an awful lot about this area. There's not really a lot I can show you. I was hoping to see some of the grounds where the factory is. I'll show you I'll turn the camera on and show you what I'm seeing, basically. Yeah, but this is just like a car park. I just don't know exactly where the factory was, and kind of suspecting it'll be on a flat bit of ground. I looked on Google Maps, and I saw like the base of where the factory may have once stood. And I was kind of suspecting it's up this area. It was a big long factory, I think. What I'll do is I'll switch this off just now and I'll put it back on when I get something more specific and certain that that's where the factory was. Okay, I'll keep you posted. So I've kind of like just walked up here a wee bit more, and it looks like there's a lot of open foundations, and I suspect this is where the factory would have once stood. Now, like I said earlier, it shut down June 2000, and there's a hole in the fence here. I wonder if I'll get through that. I think this could be it. I'll probably get checked right enough. I'm used to getting checked. Security will probably come here and question me what I'm doing, blah blah blah. Not doing anything wrong, just a bit nostalgic. I think this is the site where the factory was. Now there's a hole in the fence here, it's been there for ages, it looks as though. So is it really like Fort Knox? It's just waste ground though. But I think this is basically where the factory would have once stood. And sure, this was it. It's long enough, big long road here and everything. I mean, truck and bus factory, it's not going to be a small one, isn't it? So, but yeah, the article said it shut down in June 2000, but yet there's an article I've checked online, from the Independent I think, saying that there's jobs to go. They're going to lose jobs, 450 jobs going to go at the Volvo chocolate bus plant in Irvine, and that article was on the 22nd October 2011. So how that makes sense, I don't know. But the Mandela effect, like I said, is something that I consider, because I've experienced the phenomena, something that's referred to that online as the Mandela effect. I've definitely experienced it. But the article, I just came across, I just find it bizarre that it would say that. So this is obviously old waste ground, and it's kind of spongy like. Should have been the factory floor, the surface. It's pretty big. It's a big old site. I can't remember the number of acres, 75 acres or something, I don't know. I did Google it, but sadly it's gone, the factory. But I think this has got to be it. Eh? Yeah, so, and on what I would bet would be the factory, the old, it's like the edge beams on the ground there. That would have been a beam going up to support the big warehouse that the factory was in. So it looks as though it's been shut up. It's a battery screaming out. I put it on the car charger for put a wee drop of battery in, but it's yeah, what was I saying? It looks like it's been shut down for 21 years. This being August 2011. That big spider. Jeez, big spider. So certainly there's a lot being said that it's been shut since June 2000, but yet there's this article from an independent paper. It's called The Independent, and got a big one, and it's saying the article in 2011. So it's like if you do research into the Mandela effect, it's a similarity. You know, a lot of people remember him dying in 1990, roundabouts, and yet there's an article written about it. But apparently he didn't die until 2013. But I'm not going to go on about it. That's just what I was dubbed the Mandela effect. Well, I've come across loads of them. But it's very bizarre why they would have an article saying that the factory was shut in 2011 when it had been shut 11 years before. And it does look like it's been shut for a very long time. It's all overgrown and everything. So, right, so I've made it onto the site I believe would be the old truck and bus, Volvo truck and bus factory at Irvine, where the Volvo Ilse buses were built. There was other buses built here as well. Production, after it's closed, I believe in June 2000, the production went down to Warwick, Volvo truck and bus done in Warwickshire, which is in England. But they did obviously do other models of buses here as well. They've done the Volvo Olympian, the Volvo B6, which is a midi bus. But I remember it mainly for the Ilse because I'm a Volvo Ilse bus fan. That's what Dundee's buses were. The whole fleet was made up of Volvo Ilses. 99% of the fleet was made up of it. So I think I've showed there's not really much more. See, I'm just going to go for a walk around there and then I'm going to get back to the car because they're waiting on me. So I don't want to keep them waiting too long. If I come across anything else that's really interesting in that, then I'll get the camera out and show you. But I think for today this might be it, because we're just going to go back to the caravan, Sandilands caravan park, and get a bit of tea, and then just that'll be it for the night kind of thing. So, but as I say, if I come across anything I want to show you, I'll just put the camera back on. Right, I'll catch you later for now, okay? Actually, yeah, I'm back again. I went right up to the end here, it's just not that far towards the far end from the end I came in. And just to show you how long it is, it's about a good 15-minute walk down this. It's maybe a kilometre anyway, a kilometre long. It's a really long factory grounds anyway. It's massive factory, and it stretches maybe about half the length as it is width over there as well, and maybe a third. There isn't a lot here. There's a lot of overgrowth, but there's nothing, no buildings left or anything. But what I did notice is that's the battery going. What I did notice is these quite spectacular lampposts, the original ones. There's a lot of them along this path as well. Well, if I worked at this factory, they would know exactly where I was standing, but I wasn't at it when it was working the factory. I was never at the factory. I just remember passing it on the bus 28 years ago. A lot of midges. But what I'll do is I'll zoom that in and I'll give you a rough idea as to how big the site is, and I'll show you the lampposts as well. So the boundary fence for the other side, there's a road running along there, and where the trees are is about the width of the factory, and that's the other boundary fence at this side here, so that's like the width. And there's these unusual looking lampposts along here as well. This still retains its original hoop, but further along some of them have been broken, and some of them are still in one bit. But from the end there where the houses were, because I thought there was actual buildings on site, but that's actually just the end, that's across the road and into the residential houses, which just means it's the end of the top end of the site, or certainly the opposite end from where I came in. And to get down this long straight and be a good 10-minute walk maybe, so that's about half a mile. Something that's huge, it's really long. It covers a massive area. I think it was 75 acres, seems to ring a bell. I'm not 100% sure. I quickly googled it, but it's a big site anyway. I mean, they are building big vehicles and buses and trucks, so it's going to be and it was for an international market, because they built the Volvo Olympian for the UK and also Singapore. What was the other place? It was Singapore, Hong Kong I think, as well. And the Volvo B6, I think that went to Australia. But there was it was an international company, well, the products went international. Volvo's international, but this was the Scottish Volvo truck and bus plant at Irvine, who actually manufactured them. But there's Volvo truck and bus stations around about the country that does the servicing for the buses and trucks, but I don't think there's any factories in Scotland. I think the only UK one is the one in Warwickshire. I think, and right on that, I could be wrong, but I think it's just Warwick where they make them now. But yeah, you can see the end, it goes down quite a bit, and I think there's even a bit further than that as well. So just to give you an idea of the scale of the size of it. So it's like I say, I got in here okay. I didn't break in, there was a hole in the fence already. You can see there's dog walkers and everything. You know, so I mean, you can see the amount of stuff is like the plastic bottles and stuff. So it's not like Fort Knox again. It's a private site, but I didn't break in or anything like that. It's wasteland. So I'm only here just to visit where the buses were, that's all. I wish I was here when it was in operation, like when it was actually a factory. I would have loved to have done a tour on it. I would have really liked that. But it was shut 21 years ago. Or this article where it says it's shut 10 years ago. Very unusual, it's a mystery really, why a newspaper could get that wrong. I don't think so somehow. So it's like a sort of Mandela effect residue or something, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty odd. I have experienced, as I say, I know about the Mandela effect just now. I'll be talking, the battery will be going flat. But anyway, like I say, I just thought I'd put that on the video as well. So I'm just going to make my way down there. They're screaming out for me to get back. I better make a move. If I come across anything else, I'll just put the camera on and show you. Okay, catch you later, bye. I'm back again. What it is, to take away any doubt that this is the bus factory, or was the bus factory, I found some, what I think's off the bus parts. There's some aluminium beading, rivets, and I thought there was a bit of fiberglass as well, just there. I don't see that very well, but just to take away a bit of doubt, any remaining doubt. So I'm about 99% certain this is the factory. So I thought I'd phone up to be sure that was where it was, and I'm pretty certain this is it. So this is another way out. As you can see, I didn't break in. There's a great big hole, the whole fence bit there's missing. So that's how I got onto this site, and then just going away to make my way back. So this is a bit of a nature trail. Yeah, this seems to be a wee bit of a nature trail as well. So I think that's right. I'm a bit lost. Oh, I better not get lost because they're waiting on me. But that's the boundary fence anyway to the truck and bus factory. I'm not sure if this would be the back of the factory or the front, I don't know. But the industrial estate bit I came in was just at this end. So I'll catch you later. Okay, if I come across anything else, I'll just get the camera on and show you. Right, yep, and back again. And I just, for anybody bus enthusiast like myself that want to get to this factory, I think this would be the back, because that there is the Ayrshire Hospital, the Ayr Hospital Infirmary, which is just right opposite where that hole in the fence was to get into the site. So I would assume then the other end, boundary end, would be the front. So I thought I'd maybe just let you know that if you're interested to know where it was. There's another hole in the fence here as well, there's just loads of them. So that was a hospital. That was worthy of mentioning for anybody else like myself that wants to find out what is here for the Volvo bus and truck plant at Irvine. Okay. The grounds which the factory once stood on are absolutely enormous. It's just a pity I never got a chance to explore the factory when it was there. I would have loved that. Unfortunately, I never got that chance. Although I did see it once when it was on, when I went down to travel on the ex-Dundee buses when they went to A1 service back in 1993. I went down there and travelled on them, and I remember seeing the factory from the outside. Ironically, when I was on a Mark 1 Volvo Ilse, well, that's what I went down for, to travel on the old Volvo Ilse, the ex-Tayside Volvo Ilse Mark 1s. They were actually registered NSP 33, well, the one I've got pictures of NSP 331R. It's from the batch. The Dundee buses were actually the Mark 1s, the R-Reg Mark 1s. There was P-Regs as well. There was LAS 44P to LAS 48P. And you had the R-Regs, 1976. They were NSP 312R to NSP 341R. Well, A1 buses bought a big handful of the ex-Tayside buses during the early part of the 1990s. And I went down to A1 and travelled on them. I got pictures of taking photographs of them. I didn't have a camcorder, unfortunately, back then. I wished I did, but I didn't. So I took pictures. And as I say, when I was down there, I travelled on the buses. And I remember seeing the factory. It was a big, long, well, it was a long factory. I only saw part of it as I was passing. But if you look back, I actually done an article on my YouTube channel. I've done a 3-part article about the Volvo Ilse bus, the Dundee ones. So if you look back at my YouTube channel, you'll get the 3. I've done other articles on the buses. I've done quite a few actually, but I've done the latest ones on the Volvo Ilse was a 3-part article. I made that, I think, earlier this year, or if you look back a few months ago, you'll see it anyway. It's Volvo Ilse, and I've got some good footage. Go into a lot more detail. Show the the chassis. Have a look if you're interested. Just go back on my channel and have a look at the articles if you've not already saw it. So I'm not sure what if anything is going to be built on those grounds in the future. Time will tell. I don't know. Well, I was actually, as it turned out, I was on holiday in that area. I was on holiday down at Ayrshire, and I wasn't planning on going to the factory, but we were just down there, and I thought, well, we were touring around, and I came up with the idea to have a look, because I was in that area. I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to have a look to see where the old bus factory was. I didn't know that I was going to actually find it. Because it was all sort of, you'll see that it was all closed off. There was a Maxi group. I don't actually know who owns it, because at the time I was filming, I just thought that it was a Maxi group that owned it. Obviously it's owned by someone, but I don't quite know what the plans are for it. To be honest, that was the first time I've been on the grounds. So, and I saw some of there was some bus parts. Well, even I saw there was this fiberglass front cornice panel from where that was like evidence of a bus factory, I guess. But I don't know what the plan is for it. I don't know what's going to happen. But when I do find out whatever's going on with that land, and then if allowed to, I will go down and film it and show you. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my article, and thanks for watching.